The Gauntlight Ruins Tournament Invitational is on. I may not have been invited per se, but I thought I'd take a run at it and see how my attempt stacks up. The real challenge is taking place on the Venian Reforged YouTube channel, and I've got a link to the first video in the description, which contains a full explanation of the rules of the challenge. This challenge takes place in the top level of the Pathfinder 2nd Edition adventure, Ruins of the Gauntlight, which is the first book in the Abomination Vault's adventure path. The goal is to take out 3 targets among the ruins with a single level 3 character. The first target, a pair of giant flies that are holed up in the southwestern watchtower. The second target is Boss Strong, leader of the Mitflick gang that calls this place home. His throne room is on the southeast corner of the ruins. The third and final target is Mr. Beak, a soulbound doll with a powerful magical attack. Its lair is to the north on a small island. Challengers are allowed to plan their own path through the ruins, and take out these targets in any order they choose. The entire challenge takes place in encounter mode, with the overall goal being to complete the challenge in as few rounds as possible. Now let's take a look at our challenger. This is Risha, a 3rd level Battle Harbinger cleric. Her resolute fetchling heritage, combined with the hard-to-fool ancestry feat, make her very likely to survive the 3rd level Phantom Pain spell that Mr. Beak will use against her. She follows Cabriri, but she won't be using his favored weapon in this challenge. Her acrobat background gives her the steady balance feat, and at levels 2 and 3 she's taking quick jump and incredible initiative to make sure that she can get the jump on the opposition. Her 2nd level class feat is locked for the Battle Harbinger dedication, but that means she gets the toughness feat, which just might make the difference and keep her alive. Her 3rd level skill increase went into acrobatics, because I've got a very specific route in mind for this challenge, and Risha is going to need every advantage to pull it off. In the weapon tab, I've put in the sword she's going to create with the Blazing Armory spell. This is her primary weapon, but I've got a backup dagger just in case something terrible happens and I lose this sword. This is unlikely to occur though, as it lasts for a full 5 minutes, or 50 rounds in encounter mode. She's wearing hide armor and has a buckler. I don't expect to use the buckler, but it's nice to have as a backup option if she ends up blocking with the shield spell. This puts her AC at a base of 20, which is pretty respectable for a 3rd level character. For her gear, I've got an antidote and anti-plague consumable, both of which boost her survivability against the poisons and diseases that the enemies in the Gauntlight Ruins use. She also has a Feather Step Stone talisman, which allows her to move through difficult terrain without penalty for 1 turn. Finally, she has a single healing potion. Not listed here are her 7 scrolls, which I will detail on the following tab. Her most important cantrips are Void Warp, which allows her to attack high AC foes for guaranteed damage, and Shield, which is her main way to boost her AC. She's got Heal and Shielded Arm in her level 1 spell slots, and Blood Vendetta in her single level 2 slot. In addition, I've taken 3 level 1 Jump Scrolls, 2 level 1 Heal Scrolls, a level 2 Blazing Armory Scroll, and a level 2 Heal Scroll. Note that clerics do not usually have access to the jump spell, but Risha can cast it due to Cabriri's patronage. Her Battle Harbinger font spells are all Bless, as I'm prioritizing damage over survivability. You can see the total I've spent on equipment in this tab if you want to check over my map. I'll also include a link in the description in case you want to load this up in Path Builder yourself. Before we get into this, I need to make 2 quick notes. The first is that I've got this little bubble around Risha on the screen. This shows her 5 squares of movement, just to hopefully make things obvious on where she can get to. Being able to move efficiently is actually a huge part of this challenge, and I found that this was the easiest way in Roll20 to make that obvious and also make it quick and easy for me to just click and drag her within an allowed movement range. The second thing is that I'm assuming I'm allowed to have Risha take her anti-plague and antidote before the challenge starts. If that's not allowed, I guess we can just add 1 round onto my counter. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Round 1 is pretty straightforward. Risha is starting with her jump scroll in hand. She's going to stride twice to get into position and then use her 3rd action to jump onto the roof. The book says that this is 10 feet up, so giving the kind of angle calculations Pathfinder wants you to do, I believe this should be a legal way to approach this encounter. Second round, she's going to move twice to get in position in front of Boss Strong's throne room, and use an interact action to pull out her Scroll of Blazing Armory. The next few turns are all fairly similar. She's going to use her scroll to cast Blazing Armory, which uses up a turn. Then she's going to cast Bless, and then she's going to cast Shielded Arm. With all of this in place, Risha now has a +1 striking weapon that does fire damage, a shield she can raise to get her AC up to 22, and a +1 to hit, bringing her up to a +10 total. Now she's ready to fight. Risha opens the door and strides in, taking a swing at Boss Strong. She manages to hit him first try, and takes off half his health bar, easy. Now the real fight starts. I realize now that I should have rolled initiative for Risha right at the start of this challenge, but I don't think it makes a difference to do it now. She manages to beat all of her opponents except Boss Strong, so he's the next to move. He backs off and fires his poisoned blow dart at her. It hits, but Risha is able to resist the poison. In return, she uses her reaction to cast Blood Vendetta. This applies a bleed effect to Boss Strong. Boss Strong passes his save, but still takes some damage from the bleed. He fails his recovery check, which means that he will take more bleed damage next turn. Now, Risha is up. Realizing that she doesn't have to do that much to actually kill him, Risha uses Void Warp, and manages to take off another 4 life, leaving Strong at 1. Since the kill is guaranteed with the bleed effect, Risha pieces out. This is where I made a bit of a mistake. The enemy should have followed her out of the room because she used a ranged attack, but they didn't. I don't think it would make that much of a difference. Maybe they would be able to get 1 attack against her, but she'll be using her next jump scroll and quickly be out of reach of her opponents anyway. So that is the first target neutralized. Wait, did you catch that? Boss Strong passed his save, but still took full damage from the spell. This is on me. I messed this one up, but hopefully the rest of the run is still enjoyable enough that it's worth watching, I suppose. I think it's fairly likely that Risha could have did a stride up to him, killed him with her sword, and then got out of there. It wouldn't change things too much, but I made this mistake and there's no real way to fix it. So sorry about that. Moving on from there, we get to the next step in my plot to sequence break this challenge. Risha will pull out her second jump scroll, jump onto the wall, and then attempt a balance roll to move along the narrow surface. This doesn't go well. In round 8 here, Risha fails her check, but not a critical fail. So she doesn't end up moving. She has to remain stationary to keep her balance. Round 9, however, goes even worse. Risha rolls a natural 1, causing this to be a critical failure. I don't want her to fall off the wall, so I have to spend my 1 hero point here, which means I don't have it for the rest of the run. This could be disastrous, but I'm determined to see it through. The second roll is a success, and Risha is able to move up. Then, using the quick jump feat, I'm able to make a long jump and cross the gap where the doors would make it a bit more of an impossibly narrow surface to walk across. After this, I can use an interact action to pull out my third and final jump scroll. Next turn, I can use this scroll to jump up and over to the watchtower. Doing this lands me neatly in the space between these 2 flies. Risha does take a bit of fall damage, but after she lands, she manages to hit one of the flies and take a good chunk of damage off. It's time to roll initiative. In the first round of combat, Risha shifts to a 2-handed grip on her sword and tries to finish off the wounded fly. Her attack misses, so she raises her shield. The first fly manages to land a hit on her, doing a solid 8 damage, but Risha passes her fortitude save against the flypox disease. The second fly misses entirely. In the next round, Risha tries again to hit with her sword, but still misses. She sends out a Void Warp, and rolls minimum damage, and the fly passes its save, so she only takes a point of health off. The flies strike back, but also, very luckily, all miss their attacks. The next turn comes up, and Risha's Bless spell has worn off. She does another Void Warp and manages to take all but 1 HP off of the wounded fly, and she hits with her sword this time, finishing it off. I don't even roll for damage, it only had 1 HP. The surviving fly does manage to land a hit on her, but once again Risha gets a natural 20 on her save. With this, the final round of combat starts. Risha spins around and takes the fly out in a single hit, using her remaining actions on the turn to shift back to a one-handed grip and draw her second level heal scroll. Risha heals up to a respectable 35 HP, and now has to cross most of the map to finish off the final target. First, she has to get past these maggots. At the start of her next turn, Risha opens the door, moves into the room, and uses a shield cantrip just in case they get the jump on her. Initiative goes well though, so Risha is able to act first. She uses her talisman to ignore difficult terrain and get past the rubble in the way. A tumble through takes her past the maggots, and then 2 move actions takes her well out of their range. Next up, she continues moving, getting onto another section of rubble and using another long jump to get past it without slowing down from the terrain. She keeps going, hitting a couple doors eventually once she reaches the island. This is a little awkward. 30 feet of movement would have been much better than 25 here. Risha takes 1 more round to cast a fresh Bless spell, and then is ready to burst through and fight Mr. Beak. Risha enters the room, strides in, and manages to land a hit once again on the first attempt, taking off over half of Mr. Beak's health. His 17 AC isn't nearly as difficult to deal with as the flies. Risha once again wins the initiative roll, but is unable to hit Mr. Beaks with her 2 swings. She uses the shield cantrip and braces for the counterattack. Mr. Beaks uses his 3rd level Phantom Pain spell, but Risha is able to pass her save, and because of her resolute fetchling heritage, this success is turned into a critical success, meaning she takes no damage. Mr. Beaks rolls but misses with his final action to attack her. At the next round, Risha takes a swing with her sword, hits Mr. Beaks, and finishes him off. Or does she? You see, I had made one last critical mistake. I didn't notice that Mr. Beaks uses the Elite template on a Soulbound doll, so we need to bump him up to level 3. This means that he gets an additional 15 HP, his armor class goes up to 19, and he wouldn't have been hit by that attack. So rolling that back, he's now at 24 HP instead of 9. Additionally, last round his strike would have hit, so I roll damage for that and take a bit of HP off Risha. Now that that's all cleared up, Risha gets her last 2 actions in her turn. She swings, hits, and takes another 7 points off the Birdman. Then she raises her shield cantrip and braces for the counterattack. Mr. Beak attacks back with all he's got, hitting once and taking 5 HP off of Risha. The next round, Risha shifts to a 2-handed grip on her sword, takes a swing, misses, and once again uses the shield cantrip. Mr. Beak attacks back, but misses with all 3 of his attacks. The next round continues to be a desperate struggle, with neither combatant able to land a blow. Risha's next turn goes better. She lands a hit, taking 10 HP off of the Birdman. After this, she switches back to a one-handed grip on her sword and casts her last first-level spell as a one-action heal, getting back a couple HP. Mr. Beak once again misses with all 3 of his attacks, and Risha is ready to finish him off. She isn't able to land her attack though, so she draws her last heal scroll and uses the shield cantrip. Mr. Beaks attacks back and lands all 3 of his attacks, doing 7 damage with the first, 10 damage with the second, and prompting Risha to use her shield block to try and survive the third at only 9 HP. Things are looking dire, and Risha misses with her attack on her next turn. She uses her scroll to do a 2-action heal, getting back 11 HP. Mr. Beak does his best to strike back and gets another 5 damage through with his first attack, but misses the second and third. At the start of the next round, luck is finally on Risha's side and she lands a hit, finishing off Mr. Beak and surviving the Gauntlight challenge. So there you have it, folks. Risha, the Battle Harbinger Cleric of Cabriri, cleared the Gauntlight challenge in 32 rounds, more or less. I'd say my plan was an overall success. Using the jump scrolls to get around the ruins was a lot of fun, and the Resolute Changeling Heritage managed to hard counter the most damaging attack in this challenge. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how the actual event goes on the Venian Reforged YouTube channel. This has been Jake with Drake Radio. Thanks for tuning in.